What was interesting and revealing about younger and middle-aged views on old age was how relative these were to the individual's own age. Those in their teens regarded 40 as old, whereas those in their 40s thought 70 or 80 was old. For many, health was seen as a determining factor in deciding who is old, and many young participants commented on how fit and active their grandparents are, while others thought ill health and dependence were an inevitable part of aging. The majority of participants, however, regarded old age as something negative, and many expressed fear of growing old. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My theme for this session is convergence, technology change and business practice. This is somewhat dear to my heart, in that I have spent much of the last 15 years involved in various aspects of technology and their impact on business, across a broad spectrum, from applications of signal processing in manufacture right through to the use of utilization data and diary applications, to improve the time utilization of the sales force. So 2 decades later, what's changed? It's now widely recognized that just 20% of health outcomes are tied to medical care, whereas up to 70% are tied to healthy behaviors and what's called the social determinants of health. Basically, everything that happens to us for that vast majority of time when we're not in the doctor's office or the hospital. Healthcare executives now routinely remind us that our zip code matters more than our genetic code. And one healthcare publication ever recently had the audacity to describe the social determinants of health as the feel-good buzzword of the year. Adidas teamed up with an organization called Parley for the Oceans. Parley goes out and collects plastic waste from the ocean. Adidas uses the plastic waste to make shoes. Shoes made with plastic from the ocean. Good for the environment and good for business, because if you know that rapidly growing consumer segment known as hipsters, and I know you know hipsters, then you know that a hipster faced with the choice between a no-name shoe and an Adidas made with plastic from the ocean will pick the Adidas every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and then walk around like it's no big deal but look for every opportunity to talk about them. One of the most amazing things that have happened even in my lifetime is the prediction of cosmology. When I started out 40-odd years ago, we knew that the universe began a Big Bang. Some people doubted even then. We thought the universe was about 10 or 20 billion years old. But now, for really very sound scientific reasons, we can say that the universe did start in a Big Bang and it's 13.8 billion years old. So it's not 14, it's not 13 because a decimal point in there, and that's a stunning achievement to know that. And we also know that the laws of physics that apply to tiny particles inside atoms also explains what happened in the Big Bang. You can't have one without the other. A very neat example of this is that when you apply today, the drilling rigs are operating in water that's 3 or 4 kilometers deep. Tomorrow they could go deeper still. But at some stage global production of oil will peak and begin a remorseless decline. The question is, how soon? I'm sure that we're talking here, decades. So, we're not hitting peak in 2010. We don't believe we are even in 2030. The worst case is that it's occurring now or very soon because the world is unprepared. It's absolutely unprepared. There are no quick fixes in something like this. Is a world addicted to cheap liquid energy facing the beginning of the end of the age of oil? In the ever-spreading suburbs of Australia's great cities where mortgages are high and private transport indispensable, everyone's feeling the pinch. One seminal difference in policy remains: the coalition has not matched what is Labour's most important innovation promise. That is to bring together responsibilities for innovation, industry, science and research under one single federal minister. Innovation responsibilities currently lie within the powerful Department of Education and Science, and while there is a separate industry department, it has little influence within cabinet. This has hampered policy development and given Australia's innovation policies a distinct science and research bias. It is the scientists rather than the engineers who call the tune in innovation policy in Canberra, so it's no surprise our policies are all about boosting government-funded research and later commercializing their results. Okay. Another ancient Greek philosopher we need to discuss is Aristotle. Aristotle's ethical theory. What Aristotle's ethical theory is all about is this: he's trying to show you how to be happy, what true happiness is. Now, why is he interested in human happiness? It's not just because it's something that all people want to aim for. It's more than that. But to get there we need to first make a very important distinction. Let me introduce a couple of technical terms: extrinsic value and intrinsic value. To understand Aristotle's interest in happiness, you need to understand this distinction. Some things we aim for and value, not for themselves but for what they bring about in addition to themselves. If I value something as means to something else, then it has what we will call extrinsic value, other things we desire and hold to be valuable for themselves alone. If we value something not as means to something else, but for its own sake, let us say that it has intrinsic value, exercise. There may be some people who value exercise for itself, but I don't value exercise because if I exercise, I tend to stay healthier than I would if I didn't. So I desire to engage in exercise and I value exercise extrinsically, not for its own sake, but as a means to something beyond it. It brings me good health. When the 90s was coming around, more and more normal people could get online. Thanks to the UK, the invention of HTML allowed people to create a wide variety of extraordinary works. During the first decade, people created web pages, learning resources and other online contents without normal factors, such as fears, religious concerns, advertisement, profitability or traditional promotion schemes. It is because they thought it was a good idea. Today in our class, we will discuss hypertext markup language, popularly known as HTML. It is the computer language device to allow website creation. These websites can then be viewed by anyone else connected to the internet. It is relatively easy to learn with the basics being accessible to most people.